Pirabali has a special board meeting of the El Paso Independent School District Board. Melody Jimenez.
Present.
Eduardo Mena.
Present.
Walter Miller.
Here.
And Cynthia Ramirez, who's really missed a whole bunch of meetings. And I think with your permission, I'd like to ask her to either find a replacement or resign. I mean, in the end, next year, she's not going to be part of the board anyway. So it's just for the remainder, one more meeting. But this is hard to make a quorum. All right, we start with the Pledge of Allegiance. You have them in front of you, if you mind standing. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And to the Texas flag, honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible. I hope they remember that last word.
One and indivisible.
Just remember, hope they remember it's indivisible. We are one state, beautiful state. All right, do we have any public comment? Did anybody sign up for public comment?
Mr. Chairman, we do have Ms. Betsy Keller, the manager of the El Paso County, who is going to be here to speak on item number 6.
So should we wait until item number
Yes,
6
sir.
to allow her to speak? Do we have any
Yes,
other
sir.
public comment?
No, sir.
All right, then we'll move to staff recognition. If you don't mind joining me, board. We have somebody who's been with us for 25 years. Wow. He's not even
Yes.
25 years old. Before she was even born. 25
Okay,
years.
Mr. Cordova,
Want to call Carlos Cordova to come forward?
Carlos Cordova. He's in our mapping department. He's one of our leads there in mapping. You need to get your picture taken.
You need to be right here by
This was the
this is my
gentleman who
brother
came.
here.
Charlie, you need to tell us, how did your daughter do with her presentation?
She's doing good. She's doing really good.
Good.
Yes, ma'am.
He was last month, but his daughter was getting a letter
Oh, okay.
from high school, so.
Yes,
Awesome.
sir. Yes.
So she's going to go to UTEP and be on the volleyball.
I will.
I'll tell Ben to be ready for her.
Yes.
Okay. All right, let me read you this proclamation, Carlos. This is in your honor, Charlie. This certificate of appreciation is in recognition of 25 years of dedicated service to this El Paso Central Appraisal District and the counties and the school districts and everybody that we represent. This certificate is awarded to Carlos Cordova, and it is signed by Dinah and by me and by all of you. So congratulations. 25 years. We'll see you in 50 years.
Yes, sir. Oh, yeah. Oh,
We're gonna take your pictures, so go over that way, and you get to come in because you're the good looking.
His manager, Howard Johnson, is here. He's so proud of his staff.
Thank you, Charlie. We appreciate
Yes, sir.
it. 25 years on the way to 50.
yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie, for all that you do.
Yes. Mapping, huh? It's not
Yes.
an easy job.
No, and they get hit up a lot too for all kinds of information, and they're Johnny on the spot, so I'm very proud of them.
25 years, that's good recognition. All right.
Yeah.
You have had sent to you both email and in front of you the minutes of our last meeting of September 19th. I need a motion to accept those minutes as they've been presented unless somebody has some corrections or additions.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, seconded by Shane. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It is accepted. You have the financial reports, and we're gonna, I guess we're gonna talk about them,
Ms. Rosa Goldman will give the
as Rosa
financials.
always does.
Yes, she does.
Good evening, Rosa Goldman, Chief Financial Officer.
Tab 4.
We are presenting the financial report for the month of August. The financial report contains the balance sheet, report of revenues, expenditures, and changes in cash balance, the investment report, and the note to the financial report. And as you can see for the month of August, on the note, we have a few more accounts that are over budget. The building maintenance, which has an additional $11,930 over budget. Is the general monthly expense plus some work that had to be done on the third floor. And then we have the furniture and equipment lease, which is for the building cabling project. It is $21,622, but as of September, we paid it off, so that one is taken care of. And then for Board of Director travel, it's 343 that went over budget, and then the Appraisal Review Board, $343, and it's not much, and it was, for the Appraisal Review Board, it's not really extra hearing, it was more the actual rate that was increased.
Which we
So-
approved, by the way.
Right. So that's why it went over budget, and as you can see, it's not a huge amount. And I apologize for the typo, it's not appraisal year, it's appraisal. The word. Are there any questions?
Are there any questions? Hey, let's take some time. I just want to make sure everybody's got a good understanding of our financial situation. We've paid all of our bills. We have some surplus, and we'll take care of that at the end of the year because we have to
Absolutely.
return it to the entities that gave it to us. So we'll talk about how much we're going to give them in November, I guess, because we don't have it.
Well, we'll be starting our audit. The auditors, outside auditors will start here pretty quickly in November. And we'll have the report by February of our 2024 audit. And what funds are left over will go back to the entities based on the same percentage that they paid into our budget, they'll receive back as a credit.
I think your entities, those of you who represent entities will be real happy. We've been very judicious in how we spent the money, and we actually ended up with more than we need, and we don't keep it. So for those who are new to the board, we do return it, and we're going to give it back to the entities in proportion to how they gave it to us. Next year, when we get our budget, we'll know how much to assess the entities, but we don't know that yet. Any questions on this August 31st report? Anything? If not, I'll accept the motion to accept it, subject to the audit. Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, good. Before we go to the Ward Law Appraisal Group, I want to thank those board members that served on the ARB subcommittee. You guys are amazing. You guys are just amazing. I got back a copy of your report. You're thorough. You're doing everything professionally and the way it's supposed to be done. Each of you is on a committee, and I hope all the committees function in the same manner as that committee did. We're all invited to attend their meetings, but this was a fantastic meeting, and you'll hear more about it when we hear the ARB report. But I just immediately, before I forget, I want to make sure I acknowledge those of you who are on that committee and what you did this past month. All right, didn't mean to take that away from ward law. I think the world of ward law.
Board members, I'd like to introduce Peggy Wardlaw. She's part of the Wardlaw group that helps us with our appraisals of our large industrial. We bring her in a couple of times a year so that she can give you a report and an update. And so she's going to give you an update of how the 2024 protest season went on the properties that they represent. Thank you, Ms. Wardlaw.
Thank you so much for inviting us to be here and for your work. And I want to introduce Mr. Martin Villarreal. He's the head of our support services staff and was chief appraiser of West County for many, many years. And my husband, Malcolm Wardlaw, who is also a co-owner and helped me form this company.
Minority owner, tell me.
All right. Now if I can figure out how to,
Hold on, we'll get the presentation
there
up.
it is.
There you go.
Okay.
It's in
All
front
right.
of you as well.
Now, I do want to say that James, as well as Martine, have both said, I like the fact that it's short. I said, okay, okay, I'll make it short because I know you've got a lot of other business to take care of tonight. So we'll just start off with just kind of a review of the certified values by school district. I think you all have this in your packet as well. This year, there was about a 7% increase in overall value between from the prior year. The values have been going up. You've been getting what we do for some of y'all that haven't seen my presentation before. We do the top utility and industrial value. So we do your large utilities. I'll talk about Western Refining here in a minute. About El Paso Electric are the two biggest. Amazon, your big industrial facilities are the types of facilities that we appraise. So that's our contract.
Peggy, on this table, it would be helpful for us if above 2020, you tell us how many properties there were, 2021, so if we could get a
The
better idea
Number.
of how many different entities are involved in raising this money, it would help us, because showing that there's an increase without understanding that there may have been added 4 more properties or 10 more properties
Yeah.
skews our perception.
And there were. I mean, this is primarily, when you see an increase, it's primarily because of new properties.
Right.
Because typically, these types of properties actually depreciate. So for example, if you've got an Amazon facility where they have all these robots and all this equipment, it depreciates over time. So what you're seeing here are new properties that are typically being built in El Paso.
I'm just saying, if you give us those numbers, I guess it
Okay.
puts it in perspective.
Okay, yeah. So okay, so that's the certified values. And so our top priority is ensuring that we do the best job for your appraisal district. Our job is to make their job easier and correct. And those things we do primarily is we have a very fast response time. If the district asks us something, I tell my team I want it out at the most 2 days. And we provide all the documents and requested information and try to surpass all requirements of the contract. So this is one example of that we want to get you the values as early as possible, which then allows us to contact the taxpayers, make sure the protests are all done properly, and get information. So you can see in 2024, we got 100% of the values sent by May 17th. The notice values were 5.7 billion, and we had a slight decrease to 5.3 billion after the protest season was over. So one of the things that we were requested, we've been doing it, I don't know how long, Dinah, 8 years, 9 years maybe now?
Mm-hmm.
One of the main requests when we took over the contract was that instead of sending all the notice values at once, that we send them over in smaller batches. And that allows your staff here at the district to make sure to review those, get them in line, your IT staff to get them ready, prepared for notices, and make sure everything is correct so that they can go out in smaller batches. So this year, they were sent out in 5 batches. I can get back. Well, okay, here we go. In 5 batches, with the majority of the accounts going out before the 1st of May. So our limitation is, by law, we cannot send notices out on companies that have applied for an extension of the rendition deadline until May 15th. So what we tried to do is to get all of the notices ready, all of the values ready for everything that did not have an extension on it by May the 1st. And we were able to do that this year. So 76% of all the values was sent to the CAD by May 1st, with the rest being done by May 17th. Okay. We also do on-site inspections of all the properties that we appraise, of the properties that can be inspected. We take notes, and where permitted, we take video and audio of the location so that we can make better appraisals. Okay. I'm a better appraiser than I am at clicking the thing. I have to tell you this. So one of the things from the very beginning when Malcolm and I started the company that we wanted to focus on was customer service. And our companies, as I think with your appraisal district, believes that customer service to taxpayers is very, very important. So what we do when we get, number one, we answer the phone calls. A property tax professional answers the calls that come in and tries to understand what the issues are as soon as people call. And when we receive a protest, we reach out to the company that made the protest if they don't reach out to us to get information in order to resolve any protest that they have. And the trick is that we have to have information so that we can do a quality appraisal. So that's what we do. And we look at the issues and try to find a solution to all the questions. One of the other things we do is work on your property value study. Every other year, the state does a ratio study and our property value study, which means essentially that PTAD, Property Tax Assistance Division, which is a bit ironic, I want to say, at this point in time, they have appraisers on staff that appraise property, and they come up with a value. If their value is higher than the value that we've put on the property, we have a low ratio, which can impact the funding to your school districts. If that happens, we then, in conjunction with James and the staff at EPCAD, then put together a package to affirm and justify the value that we've put on the property so that we wind up, and your school districts wind up, with a good ratio and get all the money that they're entitled to. And that's what it says. Okay.
That's what it is.
So we do utilize the IAAO standards for all of our appraisals, and we are prepared to file a formal property value protest. And then when it's submitted, that's how we make sure that you have good ratios and you don't lose money. And we never have an additional charge for any of our services. New reports, meetings, anything else, we never charge extra. Your top 10 taxpayers are El Paso Electric, Marathon Western Refining. Let me see here. I've got some notes here. Freeport McMoran, Amazon, which came in, 3 years ago, I think? And is now the fourth taxpayer of the properties that we appraised. Texas Gas Service, Toro, Union Pacific, Schneider Electric, Contour Brands, and Treehouse Foods. So, do you have any questions about any of these?
So in the past, like last year, you actually gave us figures. You actually gave us specifics.
Right.
And I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
I think if you can give us the chart that tells us maybe a 3-year, 5-year history of these companies, maybe the top 20.
Okay.
That gives us an idea of who they are, how much they're paying.
Martine, can you, I think he's taking notes over there for me.
So you've done that in the past.
Yeah.
I have those charts in my file.
I know,
so you've done
but you know, I'm trying to keep it short,
No,
Tammy.
it's just, you can include it. We don't have to go over it.
We can do that.
But you just need to
Yeah.
include it.
No, I can certainly do that, and yeah, and pull a history together.
some
Yeah,
history.
I can pull that report, and but I'm going to get to El Paso Electric and Western specifically after this. So, and I do want to say that a lot of it is a significant portion of some of these is inventory that is not taxable due to the due to the Freeport. So
How many, on an average, how many entities do you look at a year?
We look at almost every entity. This
I mean, is that like 500 or 5,000? What
entities or accounts or what?
account? Okay, call them account.
Accounts, there's probably like 600 and something,
600,
six or
okay.
700.
Your criteria is those over 100 million, 10 million? How do you figure how many you look at?
We tell her.
So how do you give her a number? Do you give it?
We give her the accounts that, as an engineer, we don't have the expertise. And they have the information, like the specialized equipment that Amazon has, those robotics. They have the information as an engineering firm to get the information. Same with the electric company and the refinery, the railroad, that type of thing, as they have access to information that we don't. So we go over the list every year, and the things that we can do, we take off. The things that we cannot do, we add
So
on.
there's 600 more or less that you give to her.
Yeah, some of these are multiples. You know, like some of these accounts have multiple accounts to them. Like your Union Pacific Railroad and your electric company has lines throughout the county. And so there's multiple accounts because each taxing entity has a portion of that value that they separated out. Your pipelines is the same way. They do our pipelines, our gas pipelines, gasoline pipelines.
Quite a few.
So yes, exactly,
So
yes,
the
sir.
actual number of entities is not that big, but
Right. It could go through all of the entities, like a pipeline or the railroad, and so they will deal with those. Now, they won't deal with like emergency services districts or the specialty districts, but your school districts, your cities, those type of districts. These, like Union Pacific, the electric company, their transforming lines go through. So there's multiple districts that will have some value on there depending on how they break it down.
And
I'm
so,
just noticing that there's no real estate.
that what?
We do the real estate, they do the.
So because you can handle it in-house, we
Right.
don't hand it to her.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
So there may be bigger companies than these 10.
Yes,
We
because,
just don't necessarily give them to her because we can handle them.
correct. Yes,
That's
sir.
his question.
Yes, yeah, those are the 10 top that they handle,
they
but that's not the
Right.
10 top throughout the county because
Right.
we handle.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Yes.
And also, for example, like, let's say El Paso Electric. We did El Paso Electric into essentially two companies. So there's an El Paso Electric generation that's valued differently from an El Paso Electric distribution. El Paso Electric distribution has, I don't know, 30, 40 accounts because each combination of entities has to have a separate account. So if it runs through a special use district, it's going to be a special, just a tiny bit of the total value. So we'll value El Paso Electric. We do what's called a unit appraisal for that. And then the part that's in distribution, well, it's fairly complicated, but it's allocated a certain way.
Well, and there's also depreciation that is different. There's a differential in
Correct.
Yes, correct.
depreciation on each of those entities. Distribution has more depreciation.
Yeah, correct. And generation is appraised in a
Generation.
different way than distribution,
Right.
okay? Because generation is located in a certain spot, whereas distribution are lines that are through the whole county. So those are allocated according to the investment in each part of each little entity.
Yeah, so each jurisdiction that has some value in it has an account.
Right.
So where you see El Paso Electric is one account up here, it has multiple accounts. Yeah. Okay.
If I may add something to the conversation, for the record, Martin Villarreal, I work for Peggy. Most of these companies are regulated companies. We have access to their financials. So we review their FERC reports when we do the unit appraisals. And those FERC reports, they usually have asset listings that we look into. And even though we only got 600 accounts, on our side, we have several segments for each identifiable personal property area or piece of equipment or transmission lines or generation plants that we add separately, and then we apply the school districts to it. And we go through each and every segment, appraise it every year based on cost figures that we do during this time of the year where we conduct studies, we do audits on our numbers, and we adjust those on a yearly basis and then apply them as we move into the appraisal season. So
Yeah.
even though there's 10 accounts, I can guarantee you that when you look at a segment level, there are several segments.
Yeah.
These are all public companies, so you get the public records, you're able to get with them.
That's what makes them kind of unique, and that's what Peggy was referring to.
And sometimes, like, for example, on a pipeline, we can have 200 or 300 segments under a single company, you know.
Why don't we go to the electric company? I think that's next.
Okay, yeah.
I think that's your next slide. Yeah.
Yep.
See, I looked at this before. I did my homework.
So we're actually going out tomorrow to look at El Paso Electric. As you probably are aware, they have some new generation facilities. It's really interesting. Does anybody want to hear about this, or should I just move on? You'll have a lot to do. Okay. Well, if anybody wants to ask, you can. This last year, they signed a settlement and waiver for $883 million, which was a 22% increase over 2023, primarily because of the new generation facilities. And we were able to reach an agreement with them before the ARB, so there wasn't any litigation or anything on that. So I did the Western inspection yesterday. It was really interesting. They've had some issues out there where they've been down for, I think they said they were down for about 6 weeks. So we'll see when we get the reports exactly where they were. But for this year, we make a detailed appraisal of the refinery based both on publicly available information and on privately available information through other resources. And this year, we worked closely with Ms. Kilgore and Western Refining to come to a value agreement. And we agreed on a value of $579 million, which was about an 11% increase over 2023. Again, because we secured a settlement before the ARB hearing, there was no chance of litigation, and we were able to certify that value accurately to your district so that there's not a chance that they're going to have a refund or something like that. And that's the end.
And those two, by being able to have a settlement prior, is very beneficial to our taxing entities, the school districts that those are in, and of course, the county and the city, because they don't have to worry about trying to hold back a large amount because lawsuits can take several years. So with Ward Law, we've been able to build a relationship that we can work with those two largest companies for that reason. So it's been very, very beneficial to the entities.
Have they gone into an ARB hearings before?
Well, they used to sue us every year.
Every year.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Every
we
year.
haven't, since we've had Ward Law and Associates, we've been able to, and since the Endeavor, which became Marathon, the new owners, we've started from the very beginning working with them and been able to meet with them. We meet with them. So that, I think, really helps the entities, because that's a big amount they have to hold back. So, yeah. So thank you, Ward Law.
Obviously, you think the values are fair values.
Yes, and I must say that as a company, our goal is always to arrive at the maximum fair value. And I think we've done a really good job with that. I have a lot of these companies who come in and say, well, these other companies settled at blah, blah, blah. And I go, I'm sorry, no. You know, well, are you going to be higher than them? And I went, well, yes, somebody has to be higher, right?
To make up
It
for
should
that.
be us, you know? So, you know, we feel very strongly. We have a smaller number of appraisal districts that we provide exemplary service for because we focus on the counties that we have. And we take it personally that your values should be where they should be, because I believe that if we keep these values where they ought to be and they're paying the taxes they ought to be, your homeowners don't have to pick up all the budget that's not being paid for by the taxpayers that we're appraising. And I take that personally and always have. So
But one of the issues for El Paso is we've always had homeowners pay too much because we can't get the commercial to bring down.
Yes,
So here is your example of where we're trying to get commercial to pay enough
yep,
so that the homeowners get some alleviation.
that's
Absolutely.
exactly right.
Peggy, do you get any pushback sometimes from these companies that letting you into their premises to?
Sometimes we do. I mean, we had one that we didn't settle with, and we said, look, we're not settling with you. In fact, it was just scheduled for an ARB. We're not settling until you let us in, because most of the companies we appraise, we can't just drive by.
Right.
We have to go in, talk to the plant manager, and get the information directly from the floor. And sometimes they give us a lot of pushback on it. And our pushback is, okay, fine, we're going to make this value here.
Right.
And, I mean,
Prove it's
this,
wrong.
and
Prove it's wrong.
prove that it's wrong. That's exactly right, you know. And so we actually had one that held out past the ARBs last year, and we just said, no, we're not settling until you give us permission. And Mallory finally got a visit in August or something, I think. And so I think we've resolved that now.
Any other questions of Peggy or Wardlaw?
Good job.
Thank you very
Okay.
much for what you do for us.
Well, thank you very much, and I appreciate your questions, and hope I didn't take too much time.
Just give us detail. That's all we need. All right, we're on number 6, discussion and possible action regarding County of El Paso's quarterly payments. We actually have a wonderful person who's going to speak to us, Betsy Keller, who is the Chief Administration Officer.
Good evening, Chairman Berg and board members. Thank you so much for this opportunity to address this issue with all of you. I am Betsy Keller, and I'm the County Chief Administrator, and I'm short, so forgive me for standing on my tippy toes sometimes. The tax code, as you may be aware, the tax code allows the El Paso Central Appraisal District Board to waive penalty and interest on a delinquent payment if good cause is shown. And under the statute, it says, for good cause shown, the Board of Directors may waive the penalty and interest on a delinquent payment under subsection E. This is in the tax code, section 6.06. And this authority to the board to waive the penalty and interest on a delinquent payment was added to the tax code in 2007 when the legislature wanted to prevent taxing units from being unfairly penalized as long as the board found good cause. Good cause is not defined in the tax code, but courts have often found that a term that is not defined in the code, you should refer to its common and ordinary meaning as defined in a dictionary. So when we go to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, it defines good cause as a substantial reason put forth in good faith that is unreasonable, arbitrary, or irrational, and that is sufficient to create an excuse for an act under the law. And the reason that I put before you, the county, I'll get to the point about the late penalty that the county recently received.
Give us some background, Betsy, because
Sure.
a lot of these people don't even know.
Sure. So I represent the county of El Paso. We are one of the many taxing agencies that fund the Central Appraisal District budget by law. So the Central Appraisal District puts together its budget every year, and then it divides that budget amongst the taxing entities. There's a couple different formulas depending on the size and the number of properties, but it's based basically on the value that we are taxing. For the county, it's countywide, and the amount that we're taxing countywide, and we pay a portion of the CAD's budget based on that. And the way those payments are made, we are billed quarterly, and then the county and each of the entities make their quarterly payment, and it's the revenue that pays for CAD's operations. So that's kind of a nutshell. And the county recently received a late penalty. And so I'm going to go over why that happened. I'm also going to share a little bit about our history of payments and ask that you all will take this into consideration, because the board is my opportunity to ask that you all consider waiving that penalty. So it's somewhat involved. Bear with me, it won't take too long. But when the invoice was sent on August 30th, 2024, we had 2 people in the payment process that had either left immediately before or immediately after that payment was sent. Our budget and finance manager and our accounts payable manager both were on the first email and are no longer with the county. And there's also a bill sent by mail that went to the accounts payable. The secondary person with authority and knowledge to sign off on the billing was out on family and medical leave during this time. And so for us, it was truly the perfect storm when this bill was received. We've gone through a difficult time at the county. Some of you may be aware, since we lost our executive director of budget last year. He had, after 34 years with the county, he passed away, and he had so much institutional knowledge, and we've been working to rebuild that knowledge, which includes how critical these payments are to be made timely. On average, we have paid this payment to CAD 19 days prior to the payment due date over the last 5 years. This quarter, by the time we realized it had not been paid and we received our second notice on September 26th, the person who had been out on leave had returned, received the second notice, and immediately forwarded it to our auditors for payment. The problem with that is the county has no payment by law can be released until it's been approved by Commissioner's Court. And because of the Open Meetings Act law, it had not been posted in the backup in time for the next meeting, which was just a few days later. So we had to put it on the following week. I asked if I could possibly authorize the payment. We checked the statute to see if there's any way I could authorize a payment of over $1 million. I was not able to by law. Normally, the way we've had emergencies or issues come up, one time I paid myself out of my own pocket for postage we needed for something to be mailed out over a weekend, and the county reimbursed me. But I didn't have $1 million to pay you all, or I would have. But it's not possible. It was not possible for me to do that. So we did try once we realized what the situation was. But as soon as we were able to get it on Commissioner's Court, because Commissioner's Court meets once a week, we put it on the following week, and that same day we then electronically transferred the funding to CAD for payment. And therefore, because we were late, we were billed $60,237.33 in penalty and interest charges. So, and while the county has a good-sized budget, a $60,000 late fee is not something we planned for and is a very significant impact. I mean, that funds a position, that funds programs. That's a really significant impact to the county and to the taxpayer. So I ask that you take into consideration of good cause that El Paso County has been a good partner to El Paso Central Appraisal District over the years. Most recently, when legislation was passed that required the Central Appraisal District to have 3 elected positions, our elections administrator, our county judge, and our county attorney's office worked with El Paso Central Appraisal District and your legal advisor to help navigate with this new law. Anytime we've entered into 381 tax rebate agreements with businesses or developers on the investments they're making into a property, we share those agreements with Central Appraisal District. We also let them know any details on protest limitations we've negotiated with those companies. We've shared information on policies and practices over the years. The county, like many other local taxing agencies, is paying a greater percentage of Central Appraisal District's operating budget. We had to absorb an increase of approximately $1.3 million this fiscal year, which was an increase of over 38% for this particular line item. And this penalty would add to that increased impact to the county's budget and to the taxpayers. Again, on average, we've issued payments 19 days prior to the deadline, which illustrates this is not intentional or repetitive. We're not bad actors, which penalties are normally meant to correct. We quickly evaluated the situation to ensure this never happens again. When conducting our internal review, and as a matter of reference on the day we would receive the notice of the invoice, our former executive director, Wally Hartgrove, would forward it to accounts payable and mark it high importance. We have since re-implemented and made sure that that knowledge is being passed through to our staff to make sure it's paid timely. We've also added additional emails to the recipient list for CAD to send the invoice to. This will ensure we do not allow this to happen again. And in closing, I know you do not have to, but we ask that you find that this information is substantial reason put forth in good faith that's not arbitrary, unreasonable, or irrational, and that is sufficient to waive this late fee. We've never been here for this reason before, and we plan to never be here for this reason again.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So to begin with, we need a motion either to do this or to move on. We can't discuss it with them. Move it to waive. Is there a second to move to waive?
We transfer it to the law offices of Sergio Coronado.
Well, I was just going to say, what a convenient time for Sergio not to be here. I think it was kind of like a wonderful opportunity.
He'd probably have to
But in order to
recuse himself.
discuss this, I need to have a motion and a second. So I have a motion. Do I have a second? Okay. Now, it's open for discussion. Let's start with how much was the payment?
The payment was 1.1 million. Let me get the
Okay, just
exact
wanna
amount.
Point out, that was the payment. Walter.
This is silly. Why is there late people? Anyway, we're paying ourselves.
Peter to pay Paul.
This is silly.
But we do need we need a formal
Formal
resolution.
resolution, sure, don't do it again, we appreciate it, but there's no, why would
Plus, we had
we charge ourselves a penalty?
Right.
Where's this 60,000 going to?
Well, not only that, we're going to give it back to
Go
them
back
because
to
we have a
them.
Go right
surplus
back
in
to
there.
them.
We have a
That's what I mean.
surplus in. But I
just
have
wanna
one
know,
question. Okay,
yeah,
go ahead.
as well. When was the actual payment done, though?
It was
7th.
7th of October.
They wired it as soon as the commissioners met and approved it. They
They met on
wired
Monday, we
the funds
received the
to us.
money the
Yeah.
next day.
They wired it to us. The reason we haven't done this is because we're not allowed as a district. The only one who can waive it is the board of directors.
Make her sweat it.
Yeah, I know. Well, we've been talking and we agree, it's taxpayer dollars and it's just going back and
Well,
forth.
not only that, we have a surplus, so we're going to give it back. But my real question to you is,
To CAD for
No,
that?
sir. I mean, administrative, just to send out invoices and stuff, but it didn't affect us in a,
Operations.
yeah, we had
right, in
money,
a
we
negative
didn't-
impact or anything. We were able to
I do
move on.
have a question. So I understand that, there was a death involved also. When somebody goes on FMLA or vacation or whatever, who takes over? Was that just a domino effect that happened or just?
It was a domino effect. And let me clarify. So we had a person who passed away about a year ago, and then a little over a year ago. And then we hired somebody after that, and he was actually in the process of transitioning again. Like we hired, and then he had some personal issues that arose that he was leaving for. And in that same time, the person who was the secondary, the backup person, was out on family and medical leave. That person did return by the time we got the second notice via email from Central Appraisal District staff. And she immediately forwarded it to our auditor's office for payment. But the timing of it, it was late on a Thursday afternoon that she forwarded it. We received it on Thursday. She sent it out late Thursday to the auditors. It was too late to add it to our
Just unfortunate.
agenda for Monday.
So
And so it's terrible
here's
timing.
my question. When we send you our budget, and you approve, and everybody approves the budget, you know how much you're going to have to pay that year. Can't you, in a motion right then, authorize that be paid on? We offer you quarterly. You can make a one payment. We're happy with that. We'll take it all at once. But you can choose to pay us quarterly, and you chose to pay us quarterly. Can't we get an authorization at the beginning of the year when you accept our number to pay throughout the year, so you don't have to go back to the county commissioners again because it's already a pre-authorized payment?
That is a possibility. It does say statutorily that we'll pay quarterly.
Yes.
I'm fine
But
with
we
that.
could
I'm fine with that.
we could
But you
work
can
to try to get the
pre-approve it.
authorization for the entire year. Yes, sir.
I'm okay with everything you're saying. I'm just saying this could have been approved by county commissioners in January, and you wouldn't have had to wait until get on the commissioners court agenda because you'd have had the approval. I'm in favor of this, let me just say. But I'm thinking there are ways of solving this without necessarily having to wait to get on the agenda another time. And if we waive this once, I want to make it clear that we're waiving this as an exception, one time only. And if you come back to scan, it's highly unlikely that probably will accept it again, but we're not going to say that publicly. So at the end of the day, all I'm saying to you is I think it's probably a good idea when you accept the amount that you pass that at the commissioner's court at one hearing. And then as you pay it quarterly, it doesn't require you going back to the commissioner's court for a payment because they've already approved it.
Yes, sir, that makes sense.
That's just a recommendation. That'll eliminate this problem once for all. At least it'll eliminate the delay of having to post this, because I understand that.
Yes, sir. Thank
Any
you.
other question? We have a motion and a second. Anybody else? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you for your presentation. We're sorry it happened. We're thankful for the county, because we wouldn't be here if it weren't for you guys. So
Well, thank you, sir, and thank all of you. We really appreciate it, and I'm sorry that it happened. Thank you again.
just take under advisement that they pass it one time and we don't have to do this.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you all. Have a good evening.
Bye,
All right,
Betsy.
that's
Thank you,
number
Ms.
6.
Keller.
Number 7 is discussion and possible action on the December board meeting. We generally try not to have a meeting at Christmas, guys. I'm just telling you, so we delay business unless it's an emergency, and I'll call a special meeting if there is.
Move to forego the.
December meeting. Is there a second? Jackie, is there a discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Our next meeting after November will be in January. We still have a November meeting. Put it on your calendars now, so we have a quorum, Shane. So I don't have to call you.
The
And whoever
21st,
else, Walter, so at the last minute, we don't have to go scrudging around and try to get.
November
a quorum.
21st.
November 21st, it's a Thursday. All right. Number 9, discussion and possible action on the acceptance of the county.
Number 8.
Number 8, discussion and possible action on our proposed holiday schedule. So I'll let you go for it. Why don't you do
Okay,
it?
all
'Cause I
right.
agree with you, Ben.
Okay, so the holiday schedule for 2025 has been given to all the board members.
Number 8, if you look under number 8.
And if you look at December, the board has approved in the past the employees to be able to have Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Well, if you look at the calendar, that's a Wednesday and a Thursday, and then you've got Friday. And so I'm bringing to the board that Friday, how many people are going to put in for annual leave? What kind of, I did not add it to the calendar, but I am bringing it up for discussion with the board.
We should just
for
give
that.
Friday as well. They
I
got
think
Wednesday
they
and
should
Thursday.
take
Why
it
not
off.
just give Friday?
Yeah, but if we do that, we gotta take away Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we're gonna take away Thanksgiving and the day before Thanksgiving. So you guys lose Thanksgiving, but
So
you get an
much
extra
for
day.
Black Friday.
There's the Grinch right there. All right, any discussion? All we're saying, I need a motion, because we need a motion to allow for one extra day. There is a motion, a second. This is to allow one extra vacation day between Christmas Day and the weekend, so that they can take a long weekend. We have a motion, a second. Is there any discussion? Cost the district minimal, and it's great goodwill for our people that have 25 years. And we have some that are even longer than that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right,
Who made the motion?
motion was Jackie.
Jackie. Okay.
All right, number 9, now discussion and possible action on the acceptance of El Paso County's ISD resolutions regarding their EPCAD's authority to protest, if necessary, the state controller's property value findings. You can.
Okay,
give us
yes,
back.
I am going to give you some background on this. So what this entails is the state legislature passed that for the property value study, when we have our property value study and they send us the list, it's in January. The school districts must by resolution allow the appraisal district to handle the property value study and the protesting if we are out of the confidence. Confidence level is we have to be at 95% on all categories. So because we know the limited times, once we get our final report, we only have about 45 days to get our protest in and hitting school districts that meet once a month. So we sent out letters, we visited with the school districts to go ahead and approve us if needed, if the value study is outside of the confidence level, for us to handle that ratio protest, and only that, just the property value study, because it also reflects on the appraisal district's overall ratio on the property value study. So far, we've received 5 out of 9. Now, the second caveat of that is my board of directors has to approve allowing us to work with these school districts on the property value study. So the schools have to pass a resolution saying, yes, we want the appraisal district to do it. And then the appraisal district board of directors has to pass a resolution saying, yeah, okay, you can do that for those school districts. I know, crazy, right? So out of the 9 school districts, so far we have Anthony ISD, Clint ISD, El Paso ISD, Isleta ISD, and Socorro ISD that have submitted resolutions where they have allowed us, if the need comes to be able to defend the values in their school districts. So we're asking the board to allow the appraisal district to work with these 5 school districts if the need comes up on the property value
Just
study.
these 5, or if others want
Well-
to be added, should we just open it to whatever ones?
No, wait till
add?
we add them.
So
Yeah.
so you just want these 5 right now?
Just these 5 right now,
All
yes,
right,
sir,
so
because those are
just
the
for
only
these 5
resolutions
districts.
we've received.
Motion to approve.
I don't know about these aesthetic guys.
Move to approve? Yeah, I don't know about these other guys, we'll word them in.
I'll second.
Second it over here.
Okay.
Discussion.
What do you mean by, what was it, the word you said, confidence level?
What that is the appraisal, the property value study is done by the comptroller's office. And they do a random sampling, and they do a ratio stratification, and they do a ratio study. They come up with a percentage of where we meet the market. We must be at 95 to 105% of market. If we fall below the 95, then we're not in what they call confidence level. So then that's when the appraisal district will protest, just like a property owner protests the values we put on, we protest the values that the field appraisers that are assigned by, or employed by the state comptroller's office, will protest their numbers. And we submit all of our evidence. Now, we were awesome 2 years ago. The value study comes out every even year, so they'll be doing one in 2024. In 2022, we passed all 9 school districts right off the bat, so we didn't have to do this. We're not anticipating an issue, but we want to be prepared because we don't have enough time. If we fall out of confidence by the time we get the report in January to get the school districts to put it on their agenda, I believe like El Paso ISD, their agenda is set 2 months or 3 months in advance, trying to get in on an agenda. So we're just being proactive. We're hoping that we'll be fine and we won't have to do this. But because of this new law that's in effect, we can't wait till the last minute. So we're going to continue with the other 5 school districts to see if we can't get their resolutions.
But we're
And
not talking
so
about them now, it's just these 5.
just these 5 that we've
And these are
received
the major
resolutions.
ones, right?
Well, these are the ones who've agreed to allow us to
Yeah,
represent them. We can't, if the others don't want us to, we won't.
right.
But if we
Great
have a
question.
problem,
What
we'll have
happens
to
if they
go,
don't?
If they don't,
we'll have
then
to
I
go back
can't.
to them later.
I can't do anything. We will try to continue to push them to get a resolution so we can bring it to the board in November or in January. But we want them to
We don't wanna
continue to try to
proactively
get them.
give them our representation until they ask for it.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
Is that right?
That-
Is that
Right, we
right?
can't, yeah.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second, I think?
Yep.
Yes.
Is there any other discussion on this?
Nope.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, I just want to clarify on that holiday schedule where we gave that extra day, that's at the discretion of our chief appraisal officer. So if something should happen, and for whatever reason, she wants to change that, we're giving her that authority. We're not saying she must, we're saying it's her authority.
You're making me the bad guy.
I'm making you the good guy too.
So if they're
I'm making you
not,
the
if
good
they're
guy.
naughty, you're gonna take that day.
Yeah, if you don't give them, if something happens
Remember
and you
that.
need them that day, I need you to be able
Better
to
be
get
on the
them
best
that day
behavior.
without forcing it. So I don't want us to micromanage.
Yeah.
She operates the appraisal district, and I don't want us to force on her a day that's off or anything.
So we just
without
gave you a
letting her have
blessing,
that.
so,
Thank
yeah.
you.
You know, we just threw you under the bus.
I know,
I
I
did. I
know.
want to throw him in. But
Well, I
he
tell you-
said you're going to be the Grinch, so you can be the Grinch.
I can be the Grinch, yeah. Not
But
a
you have the
problem.
authority, but you don't have to do it. It's your
The
authority.
first year that they passed the national holiday for the Juneteenth, it's right in the middle of our hearings, and
That's
that was passed
why
at the
I
last
said it.
minute. So we didn't grant that holiday. Now, the board has put that on, so of course, last year we did grant the holiday, but we had time to adjust to it and make changes.
It's
So,
not a
yeah.
mandate from the board, it's the authority to the chief appraisal officer. She can do what she wants. All right, moving on to Tracy, who was here. Feeling better, I'm glad to see.
Well, and before we start with Tracy, if I may, Mr. Berg, y'all have envelopes. Please take those big envelopes. Those are Ms. Carter's evaluation and my evaluation. We're giving you 30 days. There's information from Mr. Berg as to how to get it back to him. I
It
know,
comes to me, not to the appraisal district.
right, we don't get it, it goes.
I didn't see an envelope.
There is one with a stamp on it.
There is one? I
Yes,
didn't
sir.
see it.
There's
Okay,
one
good.
with a stamp on it, in each one. Mr.
It looks like
Gonzalez and
this.
Ms. Jimenez, I know y'all are new.
I'm looking for a
It's,
little white-
No,
it's,
it's a
it's
biggie.
your discretion how you feel about doing it, but I would visit with Mr. Berg on that. You don't
If you have
visit
any
with me
questions,
on
call
that.
me. Do not call
Yep.
any of our staff to talk about the evaluation. Just call me. You can call Eddie because he's done this before. You can call Walter. He's done this
Okay.
before. All right?
Thank you, Ms. Carter.
Sorry. And again, we thanked our ARB subcommittee, but I think you're going to thank them as well.
Yes. Thank you. Mr. Berg, you'd be very proud. Everybody was there, everybody was on time, and they were just as passionate as I am about the Appraisal Review Board. So thank you to you all for being there, coming up with great ideas, and wanting to make this process a whole lot easier and better. Thank you all for your ideas. I appreciate all of you all. Thank you. As you all know, we started advertising for the Appraisal Review Board in August. So this year, we had a record-breaking year. We had 47 applicants. And what our committee needs to do is they're going to need to appoint the 23 ARB members. And the committee has sacrificed 2 days of their time to interview everybody. And I thank you for that also. They're going to be working 9 to 4. They're going to take a in-house lunch to get all the interviews done. And also, the committee is going to have to appoint a chairman and a secretary.
Of the ARB.
Of the
not
Appraisal
committee.
Review
We
Board.
have a chair.
We have one person running for chairman, which is Mr. Mona. He ran for it last year. And we have 3 applicants running for secretary this year. So we'll be responsible, the board, the ARB subcommittee will be responsible for appointing those positions. So this past week, we had, the ARB had an education session with their attorney, Roy Armstrong, because they were in service this week to hear 2525 motion to correct protests. So these are a little bit more difficult because the property owner filed a protest late. So they had wonderful training with Mr. Armstrong. He came in, he gave us all detailed on each item. On what is a 2525C, what is the 2525D, 1/3 over protest or 1/4 over protest. So they had a great education today. So the ARB is in session this week. They've been here since Tuesday, and they're going to be working until tomorrow, so Friday afternoon. And the committee is going to have interviews for the Appraisal Review Board on October 29th and November 8th.
Time? Do you have a time?
Yes, it'll be from 9 to 4.
Anybody who wants to
All
go
day.
can go. From
All
9
day.
to 4.
Yes.
But it
And
needs
even
to-
with
it
an
needs to be
in-house
done.
lunch.
Right. No,
We
no,
have to
no.
stay
We
in-house.
thank you guys big time. But if anybody else wants to go, it's 9 to 4 on those days.
Thank you very much. Do you all have any questions?
Any questions for Tracy?
Tracy, when are we gonna, no, I'll talk to you later on this one. It doesn't pertain to
Thank you
us.
for all you do, Tracy, and we're glad to see you feeling better. aren't we?
Okay.
Yes.
So I would like to mention the committee members, Jackie York, Mr. Mena, Melody Jimenez, Mr. Gonzalez, and Sergio Coronado. Thank you all.
Thank you, guys. All right, any questions? All right, let's move on to the Chief Appraisal Officer, who now can be the Grinch.
Yes, I could be the Grinch. Have y'all noticed in your packet, we did start including the actual committees and who's on the committees. So we'll have that added to the packet every time, so if anything needs to change, the chairman can. On the appointed board of directors, we did receive, because Monday was a holiday, that was the deadline they had to have them to us before the 15th of October. But since Monday was a holiday, then the deadline fell onto the 15th. So we received nominations. We now have letters going out to all of the entities with the 6 nominees from the taxing entities, along with the deadline. They have they're going out tomorrow, so we'll give them the rest of October and all of November, and it has to be back to us by December 15th, before December 15th, so by December 14th. So all of that went out. We had 17 entities that letter's going out tomorrow, and there's 6 people that were nominated for 5 positions. We have Ms. York, Mr. Berg, Mr. Coronado, Mr. Haggerty, Mr. Miller, and Mr. Loveridge has been nominated. So we have 6 nominees. All that's going out, and the entities can vote for 5. Along in that letter with the list of who was nominated is how many votes they have. Mr. Medina reran those votes, and so we have the total number of votes, and it went out. It's the same that went out in the letter with a reminder. So your entities will be getting those. If they call and ask, it has Mr. Medina's name on there. It has my name on there, and I think Mr. Stone's name and phone number if any of the entities have any questions. So if anybody asks you about it, and that has to be by resolution. They have to make the vote, and they have to vote for a 1-year member or a 3-year member. So they need to designate who's 1 year and who's 3 year. Okay, so those are all out. So if your entities ask you about it, just have them call us.
Just so you know, the city of El Paso obviously has the most votes because they're the highest taxpayer. The school district, El Paso Independent School District, is up there. The county, unfortunately, can't be represented. They will be represented by their treasurer, right?
No, county tax assessor
County
collector.
tax assessor collector. So the county doesn't have a vote. So it's the city, El Paso ISD, Isleta, I think is
No,
next.
Socorro's next.
Socorro's next.
And then Isleta.
And then it's all the other
Then
entities.
Canutillo is after that, and then
Just so that you know.
yeah. It's based on revenue. It's not based on market value or appraised value. It's based on revenue. So when you get to the smaller districts, but that's all out there. So if anybody has any questions, if somebody brings you a question you don't know, please direct them to us. We'll be happy to walk them, which we have been doing. Rick and Cynthia and Dina have been working with them. On October 23rd, we are having an employee health fair. Mr. Robert Garcia from HR and Gabrielle Melendez, they've been working really hard. And Robert has gotten 42 vendors. They're going to be here on the 3rd floor to be here for our employees. Ms. Melendez, are you here? Would you give them an idea of some of the vendors that are coming?
Good evening, Gabrielle Melendez, Chief People Officer. We have a variety of attendees ranging from health and fitness to local places. We are very excited because we do have some out-of-state people who are attending. So we have GAT supplements from Los Angeles that is coming in. We also have Blue Cross Blue Shield, who's our healthcare and dental provider. They're coming in from Albuquerque, New Mexico. I don't know why Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas is coming from Albuquerque, but and then we have Workwear Safety Shoes that is also coming in from Albuquerque. But just a few are 9 rounds of kickboxing, Park University, Farmers Insurance, JT Orthodontics Center, San Vicente, Perches Funeral Home, which is to do pre-arrangements, not that we want people to. But Envision Hospice, Emergence Healthcare for the mental health program, UTEP Connect. So we have just a wide variety. We have the El Paso Police Department K-9 unit who's going to be coming in. There's a couple more that he's still working on, so we're excited. But yeah, 42 vendors are coming in, and it's a wide range of different.
We are very excited. HR has been working really hard. When we first started this a couple of years ago, we had like 8 vendors, and since we put Mr. Garcia in charge, every year we end up with more vendors, and we want the staff, all of the staff, we tell the appraisers, stay in that morning because they're here, and they get set up, and they're here till noon, and we set up this entire side of the 3rd floor so that the employees can go through, and they have goodie bags, and I think it's really a good morale booster for the employees. Plus, they see some fitness, some health. It's such a wide variety that we're really excited. So thank you, Ms. Melendez. I appreciate that.
Social Security is also coming, so we're
What time
trying
to
to
start?
make
9
sure.
o'clock, you said?
Yes, in the morning.
You're welcome to come and see it all laid out. This is on Wednesday, the 23rd, next Wednesday.
Till noon. So yeah, it's not all day.
I'll swing by.
Great, thank you. We also had our office blood drive on the 9th. We had the blood mobile here on the 9th of October. We passed our goal. We had 21 donors, 16 from the office and 5 from the public. So we have it out in the front parking lot, so anybody from the public. Alamo Auto had a couple that came over. So that was a real good thing that we surpassed our goal. And I don't know if y'all noticed coming in, but we do have our Halloween decorations up. We've already had some of the kids get all excited to see. We had one little boy that just kept saying, "Ghost, ghost, ghost." And every time his dad tried to get him to move, he would go back. And the week of Halloween, we have the little individual gummy bags. And we'll have a basket out there for anybody who comes in, kids, parents, any property owners, that we can give that to. I think that makes for good customer relations with the public. So we're going to be doing that. And that's it, unless anybody has any questions.
Are you going to have a contest?
Well, you know what? Nobody really wanted to do a contest this year. They just wanted to have fun with it. So we're just having fun with it. Basically, our only criteria is don't overlap into somebody else's area, and don't do anything offensive, and try and keep it fun, So, and nothing risque in the way of costumes, because we let the employees dress if they would like. It's all volunteer. So if y'all are interested, you can kind of walk around next week and see some of the decorations. They're still putting stuff up. You're welcome to come in and walk around our building. We're not as detailed as the county. I should have said something when Betsy was here, because the entire county does huge, the entire building. They do a great big thing. So that's where we kind of got it from. Okay, unless anybody has anything else?
Any questions of our chief appraiser? She didn't mention, but remember that in February, we have a TAD convention in Austin, and you're all capable, invited to go. We want you there. So it'll be, I think, the 11th of, something like the 11th.
February.
I'm saying February.
February, yeah.
So remember that in February.
When do we have to sign up by then?
We would like for you to sign up no later than December, huh, Dina? By mid-December,
better.
because there's a early bird, we can get you in.
Saves us some money.
Yeah, and we did have the information in last month's packet, but we can get it out again to everybody with the
11th.
dates. The 11th, February.
It always falls.
Right when you have yours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we know. But anyway, if you can make it, we'd like you to go. It's in Austin. It's only from Sunday
be
through
in
Thursday.
Well,
So just come on over.
Yeah.
We'll be at the Marriott.
Over there.
Any questions of our chief appraiser? If not, we have one item that we need to talk about in executive session. So I'd like to adjourn this meeting at 6 minutes after 6 and promise you that we'll be out of here at 15 minutes after 6.
Point of order,
Yes,
we don't really adjourn, you can't adjourn this meeting, we have to move to go into executive
you're
session.
absolutely right.
So I
I'll
move to
entertain
go
a motion to move into
into-
executive session.
So moved.
Is there a second? A second. Any discussion? Let us adjourn into executive session. 25 after. I entertain a motion.
Move to re-enter regular session.
Move to enter regular business. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, do we have a motion that wants to be presented?
I would
Walter.
move that we
Adhere to council.
authorize the executive director to,
Adhere to council.
Accept the council's
accept
council's
council's
recommendations.
recommendation that we discussed in executive session.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn?
Second? All in
Second.
favor? Thank you, Melody.
6:25.
Did I do
Adjourn
this?
at 6:25.
We adjourned exactly at 6:25. Started at 6:25.
I still got one more thing to go to.